am I the a-hole for dropping my pants in front of a Karen? Just to show how disabled really I am. This story happened around 5 years ago and I still remember all the details like it was yesterday. I 40 female had been disabled since birth, spina bifida to be exact. With this disability, I have issues with walking long distances. I do have a wheelchair and walker to help me get around, but when it comes to grocery stores, I usually like to use the mobility scooters that are available. With that being said, I parked in the handicapped section and pulled my walker out and proceeded to waddle my way into the store. As I was walking into the store, this woman was eyeing me up and down and took it upon herself to be the electric scooter police. I was in the process of unplugging the electric scooter and placed my walker into the basket at the front, when she came up to me with not even a foot of space between us and started saying how it's pathetic that people act disabled and aren't really disabled. I was like, I'm okay. Yeah, it does suck. She smirked at me and said, so you agree that you are just faking it? As I sat down on the scooter, I looked up at her and said, no ma'am, I'm not faking. She eyed me again, smirking. She then proceeded to get louder and louder, calling me a faker and saying I was capable of walking into the store, so I would be able to walk the entire store, which in turn got the attention of all employees nearby. I lowered my voice and told her that no, I can't walk the entire store because I have a weak back and legs. The employees at this point walk over and asked what the issue was. The Karen of the story goes on to tell the teenagers who don't get paid enough to deal with drama her sob story about how I was faking and that she needed the scooter more than me, which she never once said to me. Another employee asked me if this was true and I said no, I was just getting the scooter for myself, and she came over and started talking to me. The lady heard this and started screaming at the top of her lungs that I was just lazy and faking a disability and should be kicked out of the store. At this point, I was set up and discreetly lifted my pant leg and showed the employee the braces I wore on my legs. She shook her head and turned back to the screaming banshee of a woman and calmly explained to her that I had every right to use the scooter and let me be on my way. She huffed and puffed for a few more minutes, but clearly realized she wasn't going to get what she wanted, so she turned and walked away. I thanked the employees and started my shopping trip. Halfway through, I was up and out of the scooter reaching for a box of cereal when the screaming banshee came around the corner and started yelling, see, she's faking. She can clearly walk and stand just fine. She's not disabled. I rolled my eyes and got back in the scooter and rolled off to the next aisle. This happened continuously throughout my 45-minute shopping trip. The moment I got up to grab something, I could hear her talking to anyone that would listen. I was beyond fed up at this point and told the lady to stop harassing me, which in turn grabbed the attention of yet another employee. The employee knew what was happening and helped me escape by keeping the banshee occupied. Thank you, by the way, to that man. You were a godsend in that moment. Anyway, I finally finished up my shopping and got in line to pay when who decides to get in line at the next register over next to me, the banshee. I can clearly see her and hear her talking about fakers and lazy people who claim to be disabled when they clearly not. She says all this while gesturing towards me. The cashier just nods and keeps her mouth shut and doesn't comment. By the time I am checked out, she's gone. And I am thankful just to be on my way. But of course, that wouldn't be the end of the story. I had to go to the bathroom after, so as any responsible person would do, I roll the scooter over to the bathrooms and get my walker out of the cart. I waddle into the bathroom and see the handicap stall is in use. I would normally use the smaller stall, but this day my equilibrium was not at its best. So I stood there waiting to use the bigger stall, so if I needed to, I could grab the safety bars to keep myself stable. 5 minutes go by and I hear the telltale signs of a person getting ready to leave the stall. I was relieved because I was about to burst at this point. The door swings open and I come face to face with the banshee. She scoffs and just stands there, not allowing me to get into the stall. I asked her politely to move, but she refused. She just kept going on and on about how I am not fooling anyway. And now that we were alone, I could tell her to the truth about how I was faking this whole time, and if I was so disabled, then why was I out in public insinuating that I was an embarrassment to the human race and shouldn't be out in public? By this point, I had it. I was beyond fed up and done playing nice. I said, fine, you want to know how disabled I really am? Here, take a look. I pulled my leggings down and showed her all my scars that run up my legs, hips, and spine, and said, is that disabled enough for you? Her jaw dropped and was about to scream when an employee came in and saw my little moment with the banshee. She pointed to me and told the employee she wanted me arrested for indecent exposure. I was like, okay, if that's true, then I want her arrested for harassment. The employee looked between us, saw my scars and braces on my legs, and told the banshee to leave. She tried to explain that she was just having a conversation with me and I just started stripping. The employee held up her hand to shush the banshee and said, I heard everything before I walked in. I was told to keep an eye on the lady in a scooter because you were harassing her for almost an hour. I came in when I heard you raise your voice. The banshee looked like she was a fish out of water, grasping to come up with anything to say. She looked at me and then stormed out of the bathroom. As I was pulling my pants back up, she patted me on the shoulder and told me she had a daughter with the same disability and was proud of me for standing my ground and not letting anyone push me around. We went to the bathroom together and laughed about the banshee, and I found out she was banned from the store for harassment. Let this be a lesson to all entitled Karens out there. There is only so much a person can take before they snap. I'm not afraid to show people how disabled I really am, even if it isn't a grocery store bathroom. Indecent exposure charges be damned. Am I the a-hole for calling my high school teacher a Karen and refusing to apologize? I, 17 male, am a high school student and work a part-time job. I work every day except Sundays and Mondays. 2 years ago, my mom, 51 female, abandoned me. I woke up one morning to my aunt banging on my front door, saying that my mom called her and admitted to moving away with her boyfriend. My aunt and I called my mom frantically, and when she finally answered, she told us that she never wanted to be a mom. Up until this point, my mom had been amazing. She had a good paying job, she was on the PTA, everything. I begged her to come home, but she said that she, for her mental health, couldn't do this any longer, and that since I was 15 at the time, that I could basically take care of myself. She left me about $500, but that was it. My aunt and uncle, who is paralyzed, don't charge me anything for rent, but I still felt obligated to find a job to help out. My aunt can't work because she's a full-time caregiver, so they make ends meet with my uncle's monthly disability check. My aunt refuses to take any money from me but asks me to buy household things like toiletries. Because of this, I was able to save enough money to buy a car. My pastor owns a used car lot and he slashed one of his car prices in half just so I could afford it. Since I'm a senior, I usually go to my car during opportunity block study hall to get some sleep. I have all of the credits needed to graduate except for 2 core classes. Seniors who have enough credits to graduate are still required to come to school, but they have opportunity blocks for studying. But most just end up in the library on the computers. Teacher and student parking lots are separate, so I was surprised when one of the 10th grade teachers knocked on my window and told me that I couldn't sleep in my car during school hours. She said it went against safety policies. I explained that I was on opportunity block, but she told me that I needed to be inside. I did what she told me to do to avoid an argument, but the next day I went back to my car. I laid the seat flat but she still found me. She told me that if she saw me in my car again, that she was going to have me written up. I told her that I worked and that I would only end up going to sleep in the library. She got mad. She called me insubordinate and told me that she was going to get security because I wouldn't listen to her. I called her a Karen because she yelled and demanded things of me when I wasn't bothering anyone. I ended up in the office and the principal said that he was surprised by my attitude but asked me to apologize. I told him no because I had done nothing wrong. He said that if I won't apologize, that I'd be sent to ISS for the week, which is where I am now. Surprisingly, no one called my aunt to tell her what happened. My uncle has a pretty bad bed sore, so she's really stressed about that. So I kept this to myself. I spoke with my pastor. He says he sees where I'm coming from but still thinks I should apologize, but I refuse. AITA. Please leave your comments down below to any of today's stories. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.